Hello and welcome to Are You Ready? I'm Sarah Peterson here with Mike Carpenter, president of Asset Guard. How are you today?
I'm good, Sarah. I'm very pleased to be here with you today.
I'm so pleased to be here with you, and I know we always have so much to discuss and so little time, so I like to jump right in. As I'm told, you are a national security advisor, and in a time where we could all really use that, I'd love for you to get a little more into detail.
I first uncovered some of the problems with Social Security when I looked at my own statement in 2005 and saw something very alarming on the front page. And it basically said something like this: without changes, Social Security will have to make adjustments to what is being received. Basically, it was saying that everyone receiving Social Security at a certain time in the future, their Social Security check was going to be reduced by anywhere from 25 to 20%. And then over time, it got put to the second page, and now it does not appear on those statements at all. So there's many other things concerning Social Security that are important for somebody to know, especially before the fact. You know, you need to know what these strategies are before you choose when to start.
You know, this is really coming back to, you know, what we talked on the previous show, the importance of planning in general. We can avoid a lot of these missteps with a proper plan. And is there a best time of life to start doing this?
No, it has to be a part of your written plan, because depending on how much you've saved, it will, you know, that's part of the factors in determining when you're going to start Social Security. I believe in the last show I may have referenced my dad. You know, he started his Social Security at 62, when had he waited till he was 70, he'd be receiving $1,140 more per month right now. And he's 90 years old and he takes no medicine. So there's very likely he's going to live another 10 years. And had he just sat down and made the calculations, or sat down with somebody like me who understands all these Social Security rules. Now, if you want to be like me, you can get the Social Security book. It's about 2 inches thick to make all the choices on your own. But I've got all the software to help you have the right decision.
I have seen that book, and I can tell you, most people, including myself, are not going to sit down and read that. We need somebody to give us advice, and to get somebody on the phone these days and really have them explain it to you can be quite complicated in this world we live in.
Well, again, knowing it's you know, there's 4 things that I cover with everybody. One is taxes, because when it was signed into law, it was never intended to be taxed. But in '83 and '93, Congress came back, again in the 12th hour, midnight, no one knew what was going on. They taxed benefits for the first time in '83 and '93, and there's a reason why they did that. I'll go into it maybe a little bit later. The second is widows' benefits. What does the surviving widow get to keep? The third is your timing strategy, which is the most important thing. You know, do I start at 62 or do I wait till 70? There's a 76% difference between those 2 age brackets. Wow. And then finally, what I alluded to first is the reduction. Because right now, Social Security, anyone receiving Social Security, there's no grandfather clause. In 2035, if you're receiving Social Security, your January check will be reduced by 20%. So if you were getting $2,000, now you're going to get $1,600. So it doesn't mean your lifestyle has changed, but now your income has changed. So you're going to have to go get that $400 from where? You're going to have to go get your IRA. You're going to have to hit it a little harder. So that puts more pressure on that. That's why we do the planning, because we don't want anyone losing any money either in your retirement assets or in your income. And that's why maybe delaying your strategy to starting at 70 gives you that much more money to cover what the losses are going to be later on in life, because it's going to happen.
Well, and like so many other things, timing is so important in this equation, because it's not necessarily how much money you've saved, but when you take it out and from where you take it out.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things with Social Security, and the reason it's in trouble, is especially with COVID, you had a lot more people that were in those, that's early 60s, mid 60s, and they said, hey, I'm not going to deal with all this mess. I'm not going to go back into a busy environment at my work where I'm going to be around all these potentially sick people. I'm just going to stop working now. I'm going to start my retirement early. And as a result of that, you've had a massive amount of people that have come out of the workforce, and they're now drawing what? They're drawing Social Security. So if they're drawing Social Security, what are they not paying into? They're not paying into Social Security, which is putting more pressure. And now, this year, Social Security recipients got a 5.9% cost of living adjustment. Next year, they're anticipating it being over 8%. And I can show on a chart, we don't have it here today, but why did Social Security have to be taxed for the first time in 1983? Because in 1982, that's when they started dipping into the trust fund. Why? Because the previous, back to 1975 to 1982, Social Security recipients received a 70% increase in their benefit.
Wow.
And that caused Social Security trustees to have to dig into that trust fund to pay for what was going on. And we're living in much worse times now than back in the early 80s.
Well, you talk a lot about trying to, give people peace of mind, and the integral part of that, right, is having this written financial plan, which, I mean, astounding numbers to me, so many people don't have.
Well, when they come in, again, it's all part of the written plan, but the software that I use will put your numbers. So if you're still working, we're going to put in how much you're earning, the gross amount. We're going to put in what your projected Social Security, and when you were hoping to take it. Let's say that you were planning on starting at 63. You just pulled that figure out, and if you had any pension, and then we put in your assets, we put in your expenses. See, most people, when they're thinking about retirement, they think about, well, I've got $200,000 saved. I'm just going to live off the interest. Well, I have some charts that will show you that's a very dangerous thing to do if you leave your money at risk. So helping them see what the mathematics are, and so when we plug in your initial numbers, it's going to show you, okay, Sarah, here's how long your money is going to last. And
I don't want to cut you off. We need to take a quick commercial break, but I do want to finish this when we get back. I want to make sure everybody's got that phone number, 844-546-1009. This is what we're going to give you, is a written financial plan. This is a second opinion, or it's a first, but now is the time to give us a call. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and talk more about Social Security and how to plan for your retirement. We'll see you in a minute.
There's a lot that goes into making a good salad. You need patience and the right ingredients, but you also have to take time to taste it along the way to make sure you're heading in the right direction. When I was a kid, I remember seeing my dad work 3 jobs to provide for me and the rest of my family. I watched my dad closely. I learned so much about business and how to work hard from him. All of that only grew once he started the family business in 1975. It was around that time that my mom started getting sick. I might have learned business from my dad, but it was my mom who really taught me how to deal with people, how to treat them, and how to love them well. It was in watching her provide and care for others, even in the midst of her failing health, that shaped a lot of who I am today. Mom passed away in 1988, and it was just a few years after that I started my journey into the financial world by launching Asset Guard. I wanted to be different. I wanted to bring everything I had learned from my mom and dad into this company. I wanted to add a personal touch, an intentional effort to build relationships with our clients in an increasingly distant and digital world. This isn't just something I have been able to accomplish with my clients over the years, but my son and daughter have also come alongside me to help provide for our growing financial family. It's truly been a blessing being able to be so involved in our clients' lives. I've made so many new friends and lasting relationships, and have even sat at deathbeds of a few of them who have passed away. It takes patience to build a stable financial future. You also need to make sure you have the right ingredients to make your money last. But the most important part about your finances are the people that they help sustain. We really care about those people, and we want to do whatever we can to help them. Making a good salad can be an amazing thing, but it means nothing if you have no one to enjoy it with.
Hello and welcome back to Are You Ready? I'm Sarah Peterson here with Mike Carpenter, president of Asset Guard, and we're talking about Social Security, and there is so much that goes into this planning.
Well, to carry on from our last segment, one of the things that the report will give you, even the first day you come in, let's say that you were planning on starting your Social Security at 63, but once we plug in all your numbers, it says, Sarah, you really need to wait till 67. And so it will tell you exactly, it takes the emotions out of making that decision. Because again, it's all about your peace of mind. Because if you don't choose wisely, then you might end up 10 or 15 years down the road and realize, I wish I would have waited. I wish I would have done what Mike told me to do. It's very important.
Well, and I think what you said makes a lot of sense, taking the emotion out. I mean, there just is much emotion that goes into planning for this stage of life. The unknown is scary for a lot of people, but it really should be a very productive, enjoyable, fun, the go-go years.
Well, let me give you an example. As a retirement planner, you would think that I've planned my retirement to retire someday. Now, when Sherry opens me up, and she's one of the ladies that works for me, when we do our public workshops, she says, Mike's a retirement planner, but he doesn't plan on retiring. Now, knowing my dad is 90 years old and with the exception of being legally blind, he takes no medicine. He's enjoying his life as much as he can. So the DNA in my blood is going to hopefully have a lot of longevity. I'm not planning on starting my Social Security till 70 because that's what I can do. My wife, who's not worked, she's going to draw a spousal benefit when she's 67 because she can get half of my benefit without it affecting any of my benefit. So there's all sorts of things that people need to think about. And then you got to think about the taxes, because depending on how much your total income is, either as a single or a married couple, your Social Security taxes can be taxed as high as 85%. So wow. if you have 30% or $3,000 coming in Social Security, 85% of that could be taxable. But one of the things we love to do is show you how to have completely tax-free income in retirement.
I love that. I'm sure everybody's listening saying tax-free, but it is possible. I mean, we all need to pay taxes. It's our privilege as United States citizens, but we don't want to pay too much. And there's a way to avoid that.
Well, a lot of people know about the Roth IRA. They were started in 1998. I sold my first Roth IRA plan in 1998, and there's been a lot of changes, throughout time, but it's one of about 4 different tax-free income sources. But what people don't realize is, let's say that you're receiving $3,000 as a couple coming in, and you don't have a Roth IRA, you just have an IRA. You can still pull money out of that tax-free if you pull it out and keep yourself in a certain guideline. I mean, if you have $30,000 of Social Security income and you're pulling $20,000 out of your IRA, you still have a tax-free income as a married couple. You may not need a Roth or have to consider the tax implications of conversion.
Well, and you keep talking about married couples, and so I think it's important to say that when people come in for their first meeting with you, isn't it important that both spouses are there together? The
Yes.
planning process needs to happen as a whole.
Yes, because I certainly will convey information 2 or 3 times if necessary. But I had a couple come in recently. The husband came in for the first interview, and I gathered some information from him. And then the wife came in with him on the second interview, and I was asking them, what did they want to do with their money? Because the first thing I helped them to see, and they were 61 years old, thinking they were going to have to continue working, and I said, you can pick up the phone right now and call your boss and say, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I said, because you're not going to run out of money based on the plan we've created. But I asked the wife, I said, what do you want? And she says, I want an electric Cadillac, one of the new Cadillacs electric. I said, okay, you can get that. You can get 2 of them if you want. You're still not going to run out of money. I mean, I love when I literally will pick up the phone and say, here, call them, tell them you're not coming in tomorrow.
And how many people do the opposite? They say, I don't think I'm ready. I can't do it.
Many of them because of that fear. I mean, and that's where we show them plans, how to secure their retirement. There's a lot of different investment vehicles. You can be in the market with stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, Bitcoin, all sorts of things, precious metal. You could be in a bank earning next to nothing. You could be in some form of insurance product, an annuity or a fixed index universal life. There's many different plans. You have to identify, and we help you identify, what is the plan that's going to give you that strategy that's going to secure your money for as long as you live and leave that financial legacy as tax efficient as it can be.
I have a big family, you've got a big family. We don't want to leave our children with financial burdens. We don't want to leave them the legacy of a tax burden. So to be able to avoid that is...
The IRA is often referred to as the worst asset to own at death because the recent tax law changes changed the IRA. When a child inherited a parent's IRA, they used to be able to take it out over their lifetime. Now they have 10 years that they have to liquidate it, which creates a huge tax burden. And if it was a Roth, then it's not going to create a tax burden. So we have multiple ways to help people avoid that taxes.
So I would love for the viewers out there to understand what it is that we're offering when they give us a call today.
Well, each one of our clients will actually get a retirement plan written from A to Z. I won't go through all of it, but anyone that calls in today will actually walk out of our office with one of the most important tools you could ever have. Less than 10% of Americans have this, but you can have it and be a part of that 10%, and it's very, very thorough. Everyone will get this.
I've seen other financial advisors charge thousands of dollars for this process, and to me, it's a no-brainer. Whether you've been working with a financial advisor or you haven't, if you have a plan and maybe this plan doesn't entail some of the things we've talked about today, you have some questions, this can be a second opinion, just like you go to the doctor to get one. And literally the only risk is the time it takes to pick up that phone and give us a call. That number is 844-546-1009. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and talk more about Social Security planning for your retirement.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Hello and welcome back to Are You Ready? I'm Sarah Peterson here with Mike Carpenter of Asset Guard. And we were talking in the previous segment about Social Security and the importance of timing. When to take it is so important, just like in all the other components of our financial plan.
Well, let me give you one example of a couple that recently came into my office, and it was almost a marital counseling issue. They weren't married, they were engaged, and their first question is, we're trying to determine when we should get married because we heard my fiance, Betty, might have some benefits from a previous marriage. Now, she was 61. She was married to her previous husband for at least 10 years, and he had a very high-paying job. So he maxed out his Social Security contributions for an entire 35 years. Now, on her own benefit, she was going to have about $800 if she just drew off her own benefit. but by drawing off a spousal benefit on her previous husband, her income was going to be almost $1,900. And they could still get married and without it affecting anything. And even though, let's say they're married for a number of years, she can draw the widow's benefit as well off of that husband, even though she's not married to him anymore. So there were a lot of crazy things that were put into the Social Security rules that everyone, it's legal. There's nothing illegal about doing these. You just have to make sure you understand the strategy and take advantage of it when you can.
Well, and this comes back to, as we were talking in the previous show, how important it is for you to sit down with both husband and wife or fiancés or families, so to speak, so that you can get the bigger picture of what's happening in their lives.
I actually will encourage couples, individuals, to bring their whole family in. I recently had a lady, her husband had died, and she was trying to figure out how to do some advanced long-term care planning, because it's one of the top fears. There's two fears that retirees have. Number one is running out of money. Two is that nursing home stay. And they think, can I hide my assets? Can I do this? And I said, look, let's bring all your kids in here to help understand what you're about ready to do. And so all 5 of her kids came in. It's pretty rare that that happens, but I was able to sit down and say, this is the plan I recommend for your mom to do so we can help prevent that nursing home spend down situation. But it also gave me an opportunity on these 40 to 50-year-olds to say, you need to have a retirement plan yourself. Mm-hmm. You just can't depend on your mom, because the reality is, and this might be a sad reality, the average 40 to 50-year-old, their retirement plan is their parents' estate, because they're just not saving enough money.
And I've seen this just in my personal life. I feel like our generation has spent more than we've made for so long, and we live off leverage and debt and all these things, anticipating that down the line we're just going to get something and we'll make up for it. And it's a different mentality sort of than our parents did, and it's kind of coming to catch up with us. It
is. I mean, I'm sitting here in June of 2022, and I can't believe that I've been paying into Social Security probably longer than you've been alive, 47 years.
Only a little bit.
I mean, it's insane to me to think. Life goes by so fast. So having a good plan, no matter if life is going by, passing you by, you know your plan's there and it's being implemented. And I can't say it enough how important retirement planning is.
Well, I love that you discuss a lot, sort of one of your, in addition to your living out your purpose, it's removing some of this fear and anxiety from this process, because we have enough of that in the rest of our lives. So putting that aside and making this a peaceful situation where we can know that once we have this plan in place, we can live out those dreams without that fear and anxiety.
Well, we are one, I don't know of any other firm in the entire United States that actually has a retirement coach. Darlene is she's a certified life coach. So after we've got the retirement plan in place, she then sits down with each person and starts unlocking those suppressed dreams. We don't want anyone living a life of regret. When you're lying on your deathbed, taking your last breath, you're not, you're thinking about your loved ones. And we want you to enjoy every breath that you have to the fullest. And I'm excited about what that's going to do for our clients.
Well, you mentioned to me, between shows, you had told me a story about a client of yours who had saved and had plenty of money in retirement, so to speak, but still wasn't happy. And we're seeing that a lot more. We're not finding necessarily happiness with just the money itself, and we've got to find other purpose in our lives.
Well, a lot of times when people retire, especially men, you'll go home, you'll paint the whole house, you'll do all the yard work.
The honey-do list.
The honey-do list, whatever it is, and then about 3 or 4 months into it, and statistically this happens, they're wondering, their self-worth was in their job, that 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job, whatever it was, that's where they found their worth. So what we have to do is help them unlock what they want to do. And a lot of times, if you were raising your kids, I know I'm not sure how old your youngest is, but for mine, they're 35 and 30. Would I do something different? Yes, but now I get to impart my 2 new grandchildren, just born, our first 2, just within the last 2 months. And when I hold them, I get to speak into their lives right now, the things that I would have done differently with our children. And I thank God all the time for the blessing He has given me with not only my children, but my wife, who is an angel. I mean, I just am thankful for her every day. But we want everyone to enjoy that. I mean, that's the way our life needs to be, a life filled with hope and excitement that you're leaving a legacy. Yeah, the money helps people, but that legacy of what you've imparted to them is extremely important.
So for those people who maybe have been with a financial advisor for say 20, 30 years, and they started with them sort of in the accumulation phase of life, and this is a very different phase, wouldn't you say that it's important for them to revisit and make sure that they are on the right path?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to give a second opinion. You might be, but the reality is most people's retirement plan is their statement that shows up each month. And a lot of times when things are happening like they are right now, where the markets are crazy, when they get that statement, they throw it in a box. They might bring me, I've had people bring me the whole box, say, here's my statements, I didn't want to look at it. Well, what kind of plan is that? That's a plan of fear. We want a common sense approach that you know exactly what's going to happen in the future.
So literally the only risk is picking up that phone and the time that it takes to make that phone call. You're going to give us a guideline of what exactly it is we need to bring to you, and then you go from there.
It's not going to cost you 1 penny, and Sherry will give you a call and she'll tell you what you need to bring in so that you're going to walk out of the office with this. But I'm going to give you, in that 30-minute consultation, I'm going to give you a second opinion. You're okay, or maybe we might look at some of these things to make some adjustments.
To me, peace of mind is something we could all use. The last few years have taught us that we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So while the sun is shining, you need to pick up that phone and call 844-546-1009. Whether or not you have a financial advisor or not, there's no risk in this conversation, and that's all it is, getting a second opinion to know if you're on the right path to living that retirement of your dreams. Who wouldn't want that? Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for sitting with us and learning along with us. We hope you'll join us next time, and we'll talk more about Social Security and planning and peace of mind in your retirement. We'll see you soon.